Discover the incredible journey of 5 kittens. How Ginger and Mama revealed a life-changing home. The night had come alive with a chilly breeze as Hannah O'Connor closed the door of her mom-and-pop diner after another long shift. She was tired, her bones ached, and the weight of worry weighed heavily on her heart. Yet, in this quaint town of Maplewood, there was a sense of magic in the air that night. As she stepped into the dark alley beside the diner, her ears perked up to a faint but desperate sound. Fragile, piercing meows echoed back at her. Curiosity pulled her closer, and there, huddled together in a cardboard box, were 5 tiny kittens, their fur ruffled and matted from the cold. Each little face turned toward her, their eyes wide and pleading, as if they recognized the loneliness she carried within her. Hannah's heart twisted painfully at the sight, and she felt an awakening inside, a sense of purpose, a connection. Just like the kittens, her daughters Lily and Rose were also in need of something more. With determined hands, she scooped them into her embrace, a sense of warmth washing over her. As Hannah walked home, the fragile cries faded, replaced by the rhythmic heartbeat of hope. The kittens, especially the fiery orange one she named Ginger, brought a glimmer of laughter as she introduced them to her girls. They were so full of life, their little paws scurrying around the living room, tripping over their own tails and bouncing with curiosity. For the first time in weeks, the air in their home filled with laughter, not worry. However, not everyone in Maplewood was like Hannah, particularly the sharp-eyed local businesswoman, Claire. Claire had big plans for the diner, plans that felt as cold as the night air. She viewed Hannah's struggle as an opportunity, intending to turn the beloved community hub into a soulless franchise. As Hannah's heart soared with her new kittens and her daughter's laughter, it also clenched painfully at the thought of losing the diner, their home base, their livelihood. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Hannah's heart pounded during the community meeting. She could feel the tension wrapping around her like a thick fog as villagers split between supporting her and siding with Claire's promises of shiny benefits and new job openings. They weighed the desperation of their own lives against Hannah's unwavering commitment to a diner that had always been a refuge of warmth and home-cooked meals. The intensity swelled. Just when Hannah thought she might buckle under the pressure, Mr. Thompson, a silver-haired Vietnam vet, spoke up. His voice cracked, yet it cut clear through the murmurs, blending histories of shared battles against economic hardship and perseverance. Hannah felt a flicker of resilience igniting in her chest, bolstered by his words. Yet, just as the tide seemed to turn, Claire raised the stakes, sowing seeds of doubt and pitting neighbor against neighbor. Hannah looked out at the restless sea of faces. What would become of her diner? What legacy would she leave behind if the plates were taken away? The storm of change was brewing, and just like the kittens reminding her of family bonds, she knew that love was their strongest currency. Would that be enough? Hannah was left grappling with more than just her fate. She was questioning the very essence of what it meant to be home. The meeting room crackled with anxiety as Hannah absorbed Mr. Thompson's words, sensing an opening. She stood taller, her voice trembling but determined as she addressed the crowd. The diner isn't just my business, it's a part of all of us. Our memories, our laughter, our community. An electric hush fell. People leaned forward, as if drawn closer by invisible strings. She continued, when we open those doors, we aren't just serving meals. We're serving love and comfort. This place is a refuge, a gathering spot where stories are shared, where friendships blossom. Each word hung in the air, heavy with emotion and heart, and she could feel her daughter's eyes on her, their adoration fueling her courage. Yet Claire was not finished. She leaned against the wall, arms crossed with a sly grin. Hannah, that's a beautiful sentiment, but what about the future? What about growth? The murmurs in the room shifted and doubt flickered, mingling with a familiar fear coursing through the crowd. Hannah quickly thought about Ginger and the other kittens. It was love, wasn't it? The way they flourished in a caring home? Growth doesn't mean tearing down what we have. If we lose the diner, we lose all the memories, the first birthdays, the weddings, the late-night talks, and what future can we truly build on that loss? The room began to buzz, wavering hope and burgeoning support fueled by her passion. Just as she felt a rush of euphoria, Claire struck back hard. And how long can you keep feeding the community love without food on your table? Your dreams won't pay your bills, Hannah. That cut deep. Hannah's heartbeat quickened, panic rising in her chest. How could she keep fighting? The threat felt like an avalanche, ready to bury everything she had worked for. She glanced at her daughters seated in the back, holding each other's hands tightly. Their innocent faces reminded her why she had to keep standing. Maybe I can't promise wealth, she started, her heart pounding. But I can promise a home. I can promise hope and togetherness. Are we really willing to trade that for shiny new things? This time the crowd received her words like a lifeline, murmuring their agreement. But then Claire leaned forward, eyes gleaming. You think nostalgia can keep families fed? In that moment, Hannah felt the weight of the world press down on her again. Her vulnerabilities exposed, she realized it wasn't only about the diner. It was about community, heritage, and love that bound them together in ways business alone never could. I believe in us, she whispered passionately, and suddenly, she was back in her living room, laughter and chaos echoing around her. My girls, just like these kittens, need to believe in something more than just survival. As the room held its breath, Mr. Thompson rose again, moving to Hannah's side, his presence a steady beacon. Let us remember why we gather and who we do it for. A roar of applause filled the space, but Claire's smirk didn't wane. The flame of battle still flickered in her eyes as Hannah faced her. But outside, as the cold air brushed her cheeks, Hannah realized she was fighting not just for the diner but for fortitude, history, and love. Would it be enough to root her family in the heart of Maplewood? The conversation was shifting, but the question hung overhead like a storm. Hannah could feel it coming. What would happen next? Could they unite against Claire's relentless ambition? Or was she prepared for even bigger challenges? Hannah knew in her heart that the coming days would test them all, and with the kittens nestled in her heart, she vowed they would face it together. But just as she took a breath to gather her courage and speak again, a loud crash echoed through the room. The sound shattered the collective hope hanging in the air like glass breaking. Hannah's heart raced as her thoughts spiraled. Was it an accident, or an omen? The crowd shifted nervously, eyes darting toward the source of the noise. Mr. Thompson stepped forward, concerned, but Hannah felt rooted in place, the weight of what was happening overwhelming her clarity. Is everyone all right? A voice called from the back, cutting through the tension. It was Mrs. Wilkins, always the first to lend a helping hand, her worry etched on her face. Slowly the crowd began to murmur, but curiosity overtook fear. They shuffled toward a side door that had swung open, revealing a wide-eyed delivery man holding a stack of crates. Sorry, he stammered, dropping one of the crates. I thought I was supposed to deliver the pastries here for the breakfast rush. He looked sheepish, red blushing through his cheeks, and Hannah couldn't help but breathe a small sigh of relief. You're a bit early, but we appreciate it, Mr. Thompson replied with a chuckle, easing the tension. The crowd chuckled nervously, allowing Hannah to seize the moment. See, she said, raising her voice a notch, directing it to Claire. This is the heart of our community. A place filled with laughter, mishaps, and yes, a love for food. The warmth in her voice gathered steam. This isn't just about business. It's about the people we touch. Claire's expression switched from distraction to determination. She straightened, nudging the crowd with a pointed finger. Yet, what is a community without sustainability? Right now we aren't just reminiscing, we are living on borrowed time. If we don't act decisively, Hannah has a point, chimed in George, the local mechanic. I remember celebrating my oldest's first birthday here. This place has been our anchor. Growth doesn't have to come from forgetting who we are. Encouraged murmurs surged through the room, and Hannah felt a swell of hope pushing back her insecurities. It was more than nostalgia. It was a collective heartbeat. But Claire wasn't finished. She held her ground, eyes fierce. And how do you plan to keep this heart functioning without money flowing in? Passion won't pay the bills. Passion ignites the fire, Hannah argued back, feeling the presence of her daughters at her side. We can innovate together. We don't have to choose between the diner we love and growth. We can create new traditions, hold fundraisers, and encourage local art. The diner can be a canvas for everything beautiful about Maplewood. The crowd erupted into conversation, ideas bouncing around like pinballs. People were animated, fired up, once again believing in the possibility of blending growth with tradition, change with respect. It was raw energy that seemed to lift all spirits. For a moment, she thought they had something. The voices of her community washing over her like a warm embrace. Then Claire leaned in, her eyes glinting like the edges of a blade. And what happens when it all falls apart? Are you ready for the fallout, Hannah? The question hung in the air, cold and heavy. A sudden fear gripped her heart. What if they couldn't hold this fragile hope? What if she failed to transform passion into plans? Hannah caught sight of her girls, their faces painted with enthusiasm, believing unwaveringly in their mother. In that moment, a realization swept over her, a mother's instinct. She might not have all the answers now, but she had them. They were her foundation, her drive. No, she said finally, her voice strong despite the uncertainty hanging thick. I won't let fear dictate my choices. Not today, not ever. The crowd shifted again, excitement crackling in the atmosphere, the ground tilting towards something larger than they had expected. Hannah felt alive. Her heart pounded like a drum, a symphony of uncertainty and hope. But just as she thought the tide was turning, the door swung open again with a bang. This time it wasn't just the delivery man. It was someone much more unexpected and potentially explosive. Folks, we need to talk about something serious, the newcomer announced, stepping into the bustle with urgency in his stride. Hannah's breath hitched as she recognized the newcomer. It was David, the local banker, his face taut with worry. A man who usually wore a smile was now holding a storm in his eyes. He rushed into the diner, looking around as if searching for familiar faces. Everyone listen, he called out, his voice cutting through the chatter. The energy in the room shifted again, all eyes trained on him. I know we're discussing the future of the diner, but what I came here to say is urgent. Our town is facing a financial crisis, and it's affecting businesses across the board. The murmurs grew louder, a wave of apprehension crashing over the hopeful atmosphere. Hannah's heart sank. Just when they had started to feel empowered, this news landed like a heavy stone in the center of the diner. What do you mean, David? Claire asked, her defensiveness fading into genuine concern. He rubbed the back of his neck, a sign of his discomfort. The banks are tightening lending criteria. Many small businesses are struggling to keep afloat. I've seen several close their doors just this month. We need to act fast. If Maplewood Diner can't secure funding, we risk losing it forever. A wave of disbelief rippled through the crowd, and Hannah's breath came in quick bursts. The weight of it all bore down on her. The laughter, the chatter, the hope, it all felt fragile now, about to shatter once more. I can't believe this is happening, George muttered, shaking his head in disbelief. We can't let that happen here. This diner is our heart. Hannah knew this wasn't just about finances anymore. This was about their community, their lives, and their memories. She turned to her daughters, who were watching her with eyes full of expectation. They were counting on her to lead them through this storm. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward again, her spirit igniting even as fear threatened to tie her down. We have worked too hard to let that happen. If we unite and put together a community effort, we have a better chance. We can organize fundraisers, advocate for small business grants, spread the word, and even reach out to former customers. Claire, caught up in the swell of emotion, nodded reluctantly. That essay start, but it'll take more than just good intentions. We need a solid plan, one that can appeal to potential investors, one that showcases our vision and purpose. Are we ready to present that? Because this isn't just another fundraising effort, it needs to be powerful. David's brow furrowed in thought, clearly weighing the situation. We may not have much time. The flicker of fear that crept into his voice pushed Hannah into action. There was no room for hesitation now. Let us come together right here and now. Let us brainstorm ideas. What does our community really want to see in this diner? What can we offer that is unique? Let's give them something they can't say no to. As the crowd started to buzz with energy once again, the tension transformed into determination. Ideas began to flow. Cooking classes, community art nights, open mic sessions. The air crackled with possibility, and for an instant the threat seemed to fade. But deep down, Hannah felt the uncertainty lurking. Would it be enough? Could they really pull this off? Before she could dwell too much on those thoughts, David interrupted. I'll help in whatever way I can. We need to act fast, but I fear there will be obstacles we haven't anticipated. Are we ready for that? Just then her daughter squeezed her hands tighter, drawing her back into the moment. Hannah could see the fire in the eyes of her friends and neighbors, a collective spirit refusing to dim. As they all rallied together, a new spark of understanding ignited within her. They might be facing an uphill battle, but beyond the worry lay the glimmer of hope, and hope was a powerful force. Yet, as plans started formulating, another knock echoed through the diner. It felt as though fate wasn't done testing them just yet. Hannah hesitated, heart pounding again. Who now? She whispered, dread coiling in her stomach. What more could possibly come their way? The door creaked open slowly, and all heads turned toward the sound. Hannah felt herself holding her breath, a mix of anticipation and dread tightening her chest. The sunlight from outside spilled into the diner, illuminating a young woman standing in the doorway. She was disheveled, her clothes rumpled, and her eyes wide as if she had just run a marathon. Help, she gasped, taking a step inside. Please, I need help. The chatter in the diner hushed immediately, a heavy silence taking over as they absorbed her frantic plea. David was the first to react, moving swiftly toward her. What's wrong? Are you okay? Hannah felt her heart racing. This was just what they needed, a distraction from the overwhelming worries that already loomed over them. The young woman's face was pale, and her hands trembled slightly as she clutched a small bundle to her chest. I'm Anna, she said, her voice trembling. I was driving through Maplewood when I saw something in the road. It was an accident, and now she broke off, tears spilling from her eyes. There were kittens. I couldn't leave them there. Hannah exchanged worried glances with Claire and George. The urgency of Anna's situation added an unexpected layer to the day's chaos. Kittens? Hannah whispered, stepping closer to the young woman. Are you saying there are abandoned kittens? Yes. Anna nodded vigorously, the breath hitching in her throat. I found 5 of them. They're scared and alone. I couldn't just drive past. I didn't know what else to do. Can you help? The diners all shared wide-eyed looks, a murmur rising through the room again. This wasn't the kind of help most people expected to give on a day like this. Of course we can help, Claire said without hesitation. Where are they now? They're in my car, I brought them here. I didn't know who else to turn to. Anna's voice cracked. I just couldn't leave them behind. Hannah's heart melted. Let us go get them. The fear of their own troubles faded for a moment, replaced by a sense of urgency to save innocent lives. We need to act. Together the group moved toward the door. Each person brought their own determination, the earlier ideas of fundraising and community spirit set aside for the moment. They stepped outside, the cool breeze hitting their faces and grounding them in purpose. As they reached Anna's car, Hannah's heart raced. What if those kittens didn't survive? What if they brought more chaos into their already tumultuous lives? Yet another flicker of hope stirred within her. Saving those kittens might be the key to uniting the community, just like saving the diner. Inside the car, tiny cries filled the air as a few furry faces peeked out from under the blanket where they had been cradled. Hannah felt a surge of warmth. These kittens were their new mission, a distraction from the weight of their reality, maybe even a source of healing. As she reached down to scoop one into her hands, pure joy washed over her, filling her heart with light. Look at them, she beamed, holding the kitten close as its little form wiggled. The joy was infectious, spreading through everyone present. But just as they began to nurture the newfound hope, the reality of their struggles pressed back into Hannah's mind. What would happen once the kittens were safe? Could they still fight for the diner while carrying this new responsibility? The question hung in the air as everyone turned back toward the diner, hearts a mix of hope and uncertainty. Change was coming, but at what cost? And just then, another figure emerged from the shadows, watching them curiously, hinting that not all would welcome these changes. As the figure stepped closer, the light revealed the weary face of a man, his scruffy beard and hoodie suggesting a long night or a life spent struggling. He watched them with a mix of curiosity and wariness. In the diner, the air was charged with tension. Hannah instinctively pulled the kitten closer to her chest, feeling both protectiveness and an unexpected sense of fear. "Who are you?" David asked, breaking the silence. The man shifted, his gaze darting between Anna, who stood frozen, and the kittens in Hannah's arms. "Just someone passing through," he answered. His voice was hoarse, as if he hadn't spoken in days. "I saw the commotion. What are you doing with those little ones?" "Helping them," Anna replied, taking a cautious step toward him. "There was an accident on the road, and I couldn't leave them behind. They need us." A flash of something unrecognizable crossed the man's face, a flicker of hope? Longing. "You really care, huh?" he said, his words tinged with skepticism. "All life matters," Hannah said, surprising even herself. It felt so right and yet fragile, like the tiny creature she cradled. The man squinted at her, and in his eyes, Hannah saw a hint of a story, an unsung struggle. People are quick to forget that they just don't see. David stepped forward, trying to bridge the gap. "We're all here to help. What's your name?" "Eli," he said after a moment. "It's hard to trust a world that seems to have turned its back. You know?" Their assembly of warmth and compassion felt foreign to him, but Hannah sensed a shift. They were bound by empathy now, united by purpose, even if Eli didn't yet see it. "Trust doesn't come easy," Hannah replied softly, feeling an unfamiliar surge of boldness. "But we can start with these kittens. They depend on us." Eli's eyes softened as he glanced at the furry bundle in her arms. "They are innocent. They shouldn't have to pay for someone else's mistake." His words struck a chord in Hannah, echoing the opinions of the diners who feared their beloved diner would be lost to something beyond their control. Perhaps this moment was the spark they needed. Maybe if they all came together, they could save more than just the kittens. "Could you help us?" Claire asked, taking a step closer, her earnest gaze meeting his. "Maybe you could help us come up with a plan. We need to figure out how we can care for them and keep the diner afloat." Eli hesitated. "You think I can be part of something like that?" "Why not? Everyone deserves a chance." Anna chimed in, the tremor in her voice now replaced by resolve. As they began to talk through logistics, who would foster the kittens, how to clean up Anna's car, and where to find food for the little ones, Hannah couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was unfolding. They weren't just saving kittens. They were forging unexpected connections, healing deep-seated wounds in each other's hearts. But a part of her still worried. Even as they embraced this mission, would they have what it took to save their diner? Would this fragile partnership crumble under the weight of reality? Just then, a woman breathed loudly from behind the group, drawing their attention. She stood with hostility, arms crossed tight. "You're wasting time with these cats while our diner is about to be taken away. What good is this going to do?" The tension in the group escalated. Hannah felt the weight of doubt settling in as the fight for their diner collided with this tender new cause. Would they be able to balance both worlds? Could they save everything they held dear? The next steps felt uncertain, yet undeniably crucial. The woman's voice loomed over them, cutting through the quiet urgency that had developed in the diner. It was sharp, almost a challenge. Hannah felt her heart race, worry twisting in her stomach. How could they possibly convince everyone that caring for these kittens was worth it? "Listen," Anna tried to interject with a steady voice. "If we don't look out for the innocent now, what does that say about us? We can't let fear win, not when there's fear." The woman scoffed, her green eyes throwing daggers. "You're risking everything for a few helpless animals, while the rest of us are fighting for our home." "Linda," David said, stepping closer to defuse the tension. "We know it's tough, but we can't just abandon them. You've seen the news. Our diner has faced tough times before. We can tackle both issues. If we unite." Eli stood to the side, the confusion in his eyes deepening. His brow furrowed as he processed the emotions swirling around him. "Maybe she's right," he murmured, sparking a flame of anxiety inside Hannah. "I've been through some rough patches myself. I don't know how much help I can be." Suddenly, Hannah felt unexpectedly fierce. "You can be more than you think, Eli. We all can. We were strangers a moment ago, and now we're here together. Helping those kittens reminds us of the care we owe to each other. How many moments have we missed by not trying?" She glanced right at Linda, who stood as a barrier between their mission and fear. "If we can save just one life, it matters, right? Just think of how many people will rally around our diner if we show everyone hope, Togetherness. Hannah's voice trailed off, realizing how desperately they all wanted to believe it. She held the kitten closer, feeling its heartbeat, fragile yet steady. For an instant, she imagined it whispering, urging them forward. Linda's scowl softened for a brief moment, but the fire inside her simmered just below the surface. That doesn't pay bills, she replied, the challenge still potent in her voice. David chimed in, hopeful yet realistic. What if we create a fundraiser? A bake sale, a cat adoption event. We could share the story of the diner and these kittens together. Not only would we save them, but we'd draw attention to our own struggle. Anna nodded, buoyed by the idea. People love pets. This could bring everyone together and rally support. We could turn this into something big, something positive for all of us. A flicker of interest crossed Eli's face, the weight of his own life struggle hovering there. You really think it could make a difference? Hannah met his eyes, her heart pounding with the weight of their shared experience. I believe it can. We all have a chance to fight for something good together. The group started to gather around, their voices mingling with rising excitement and renewed hope. Ideas flowed about what they could bake, who might donate, and how they could approach local businesses for support. But even as the talk blossomed, Hannah noticed Linda step back, her arms uncrossing but her frown deepening. She felt a surge of urgency. What if they couldn't convince her? What if doubt continued to seep through, unraveling everything they had just begun to stitch together? Just as Hannah ventured to ask Linda for her thoughts, she whipped her head around, eyes blazing. You all think this is enough? You think you can save the diner and those kittens at the same time? You're dreaming. The words spun like a storm, leaving Hannah breathless. How could they convince her? How could they make her believe in hope when so many had already given up? As the tension thickened, the realization struck Hannah. This wasn't just about kittens or a diner. It was a fight for faith, for trust, for a chance to reclaim their lives amidst chaos. Would they win this battle? Could they unite against the storm brewing both inside and outside? Time hung heavy in the air. An electric division between fighting for what they loved and the fear of what could evaporate. Would they find the courage to believe in something greater than themselves? Hannah felt a lump in her throat as the room fell silent, every eye locked on Linda. The weight of expectation hung over them like a storm cloud. It wasn't just about the kittens anymore. It was about the fragile threads binding this community together in the face of adversity. Look, she said quietly, her voice trembling slightly but firm. I know it seems impossible, but that's how change starts, right? A leap of faith, no matter how small. Linda crossed her arms again, clearly not convinced. And it starts with a bake sale? Is that what you think will save us? It's more than that. Anna stepped in, her enthusiasm unwavering. It's about showing people we're still here, that we still care. The kittens can represent hope. They can be a distraction, Linda interrupted sharply. I'm tired of distractions. I want concrete actions and results. Eli, standing quietly at the back, took a deep breath. Maybe she's right about wanting results, but there's strength in community too. I mean, we've all got burdens we're carrying. Isn't this a chance to lighten each other's loads? He glanced at the small group gathered together, a feeling of camaraderie beginning to spark in his chest. Hannah watched Eli, surprised at his sudden resolve. What if we think of it this way? Each kitten we save could help us save ourselves. When was the last time any of us did something just because it felt good? She glanced around the room, urging everyone to connect with their own silent struggles. A few heads nodded in agreement, and an unexpected warmth filled the space, as if they were all leaning together against the wind. Okay, Linda said slowly, her expression softening just a fraction. I may not be on board yet, but I'll listen. What's next? Hannah's heart surged. Next, we need to brainstorm. We'll need volunteers, supplies, even just a few hands to help set up. If we can show the community that we're alive and fighting, they'll want to join in. David looked over at Linda, sensing the shift. And it could benefit the diner too. His voice was steady and calm, like a lighthouse in a storm. Maybe we can get local businesses to donate items for the bake sale, and even spread the word about the charities we're supporting. Linda nodded, her defenses lowering as the first hesitant spark of hope ignited. Fine, I'll help. But don't expect me to cuddle those kittens. Laughter erupted in the diner, breaking the tension at last. The warmth spread like sunlight, breathing life back into the gathering. They began to brainstorm, laughter now intertwining with serious ideas. As Hannah jotted down notes, looking up at the familiar faces sharing their thoughts, she saw the outlines of a new story forming. This campaign meant more than raising money for the kittens. It signaled a deeper unity among them all, a reminder of what it meant to support one another. Hans had been strangely quiet, lingering near the counter, his expression contemplative. Then he quietly spoke up. And what if we use this to tell our own stories? Our struggles, our dreams? More nods followed, an unexpected agreement among them that captured the collective heartbeat of the room. They were starting to find their rhythm, the intertwining stories of hope and vulnerability, weaving between laughter and determination. As they crafted a plan, vibrant ideas blossomed like brightly colored flowers, everyone finding their role within this newly formed tapestry of hope. Still, Hannah couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. For every step forward they took, countless challenges loomed ahead. "All right then," Hannah said, energized by the moment. "We'll spread the word, make signs, bake till we can't bake anymore. And let us make sure everyone knows that this is about more than just kittens." As they gathered around, an image forming in the air of kittens finding homes and community members standing shoulder to shoulder, Hannah caught a glint of uncertainty in Eli's eyes. But what if their mission fell through? What if the world outside didn't support their efforts, or worse, turned against them? "Will we really be able to pull this off?" Eli asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The question hung in the air, casting a shadow as they prepared for the journey ahead. Would they fight to hold on to their hope, or would fear snatch it away again? The next few days turned into a whirlwind of activity. Hannah felt a tingle of excitement as the community began to rally around their mission. Flyers were designed with bright colors and cute kitten images. Signs were staked out in every yard, each one proclaiming the upcoming bake sale, a symbol of resilience and unity. The diner, once a simple gathering spot, now felt transformed. Laughter echoed as locals came in to share ideas, bringing not just baked goods but their stories, their hopes. Hannah found herself smiling more than she had in months, as if the very air buzzed with possibility. On a sunny Saturday morning, the bake sale finally arrived. Tables lined the sidewalk, each one adorned with delicious treats crafted by the hands of townsfolk. Cookies shaped like paws, cupcakes topped with little faces, and cakes that even resembled kittens were expertly arranged under makeshift canopies. Hannah looked around, her heart swelling with pride. Linda had even surprised everyone by baking a giant cat-shaped cake, her proud smile brightening the crowd. It was a small gesture, but it spoke volumes. A shift was happening. People began to trickle in, some out of curiosity, others drawn by the aroma of sugar and cinnamon. Hannah waved at familiar faces, each one filled with enthusiasm. Eli was there too, serving drinks and quietly smiling, but the look in his eyes hinted at deeper worries. A chorus of laughter erupted as a group of kids ran by, trailing a kitten on a leash. Ginger, the little orange ball of energy at the center of their chaotic joy. The kitten pounced on a stray balloon, and within seconds, bubbles of delight washed over everyone. "Hannah, look," one of the children beamed, pointing at Ginger. "She's going to be a star." Hannah knelt down, letting Ginger nibble on her finger. "She already is. Just like all of you." The warmth in her chest spread outward, reaching for someone who had grown more aloof over the past few days. She tried to catch Eli's eye. He was standing back, nervously fidgeting with his sleeve, an anxious expression on his face. What was weighing on him? The afternoon wore on, each moment pulling them deeper into joyous embrace. Standing together, Hannah felt a surge of hope. This was more than just a bake sale. It was a tapestry of their lives, interwoven with kindness and courage. They were reclaiming their community from the shadows of despair, one cupcake at a time. But as the sun began to dip, casting soft shadows on their gathering, Hannah noticed more than just the sweetness in the air. A couple of familiar faces had remained absent. Others glanced at their phones, a hint of concern reflected in their expressions. "Where's the noise?" came a voice from the edge of the crowd. It was Helen, her brow furrowed, her cell phone slightly shaking in her hands. "I just got a notification there's a town meeting tonight. They're discussing the renovations for the old mill." Silence fell. Hannah's heart raced. If changes were coming in the town, they could affect everything they were trying to build here. Were they really going to be pushed aside again? How could they compete with big changes while they were still trying to get their footing? Eli stepped forward, his voice steady but low. Maybe this is the fight we need to join. If we can show them what we're building here, we can't let this slip away. The community, brimming with unnoticed stories and dreams, was at a critical juncture. Would their newfound camaraderie grow to challenge the whispers of uncertainty looming in the background? Hannah stood, caught between fear and an unyielding determination. This bake sale could become their strongest foundation, but now it felt like a bridge to a greater challenge. The renovation discussions could either shatter their hopes or shine a light on their fight. Could they harness the strength of their shared stories to navigate this uncertainty? As dusk fell, the bake sale buzz turned into a hush of contemplation, each heart beating with the weight of choice. The real battle was about to unfold. What was ahead for them, and did they have enough courage to face it? The night of the town meeting arrived, and the atmosphere buzzed with anxious anticipation. The diner overflowed with faces, many spirited with hope yet edged with worry. Hannah felt the weight of the kitten she saved now nestled beside her as she stood before the community, their presence a comforting reminder of why she was fighting. "You all know the stakes," she began, her voice steady, echoing in the intimate space. "We're not just here to save kittens, we're fighting for our legacy, our history, our home." A ripple of applause surged from the crowd, and Hannah's heart raced. She felt their energy, their common desire to protect what they loved. Eli stood behind her, eyeing every face in the room, his footsteps firm as he stepped up to the front. "This isn't just about the diner or the mill renovation," he declared, the sincerity in his voice cutting through the noise. "This is about carving a future from our past. A future filled with compassion and unity. Together, we can show Maplewood what we're capable of." Cheers erupted again, swelling louder as the spirit of the moment gripped everyone in the diner. They began sharing memories of their most cherished times spent at the diner and encouraged one another, rallying behind a shared purpose. Each story fortified their resolve until the door creaked open, and Claire stepped in, flanked by a few town officials. The air hung thick. Hannah felt her heart sink momentarily as Claire's cold gaze swept across the room before settling on Hannah. "You think your little bake sale can change hearts?" Claire's tone sliced through the warmth. "It's time to look reality in the face." Hannah met her with unwavering conviction. "We are looking at reality, Claire. This isn't just a bake sale. It's a testament to who we are, and what we believe we can achieve together." A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd, and the officials glanced at each other, intrigued by the passion igniting in the room. Hannah felt emboldened, the energy pushing her forward even more. With an inviting gesture, she turned back to the gathering. "Let us show them what we've built, how we've come together through love. This isn't about resistance to change. It's about embracing the change we want with heart." As Hannah spoke, a wave of unity broke among the townsfolk. George shouted out happily, "Just remember the spirit that brought us all here." Together, Anna added, "We can grow and still hold on to our roots." The officials appeared taken aback, their eyebrows raised in surprise. There was no denying the truth echoing within the diner's walls. Every face, from Eli to Linda, glinted with a newfound determination. They were not just fighting for the diner, they were fighting for each other. Claire's eyes flickered uncomfortably before her trademark composure slipped back. "This is sentimental nonsense. Businesses need sound decisions, financial projections, not memories." "Exactly," David interjected, rising. "We need to show why this diner is more than a business. It embodies our community. We care about each other. We care about making this work for everyone." Rejecting her authority, the crowd nodded vigorously. Hannah felt a rush of joy at their unity, but a voice echoed in her mind. Was this enough to sway Claire and the officials from their plans? Claire huffed, unwilling to concede so easily. "You can't run away from the facts. An empty diner means funds drying up for community projects." Eli stepped forward again, voice strong and clear. "But our community thrives when it feels like home, not just a financial figure. Let us find an alternative together. If Maplewood stands united, we can make our voices heard. And we'll find a way for all of us." His words struck a chord, sparking murmurs of agreement. The fire had awakened in the crowd, each person's passion bubbling just below the surface. Hannah looked around, recognizing their shared determination reflecting back at her. This means embracing risks and new plans, not tearing down the diner, but helping it grow. The officials exchanged looks, visibly intrigued, even affected by the passion overflowing in the room. Maybe one of them said carefully, "We should explore this angle further?" The tension began to shift. Suddenly it was as if the walls were listening, echoing back the community's hopes. "Let us do it. Let us make our proposal," someone shouted, sparking a flurry of enthusiasm. "More ideas. We need more." As they huddled together brainstorming, Hannah felt her heart soar. She thought back to the kittens, their resilience echoing in her mind. In turning this fear into action, they were reclaiming what it meant to be a part of this town. Later that night, as the final idea came together, Claire shook her head, still clinging to her own plans but clearly unnerved by the wave of solidarity filled with everyday heroism. "This isn't just a sentimental dream," one official announced. "We need numbers. Numbers can guide us through." In that moment of realization yet unknown, Hannah took a deep breath, her heart racing. Numbers could change but emotions held steady. Moving forward, they rallied to create not just a plan, but a story reflecting their growth, showing how their resilience could combat adversity. And on the heels of that inspiration, the theme of life blossomed within the town. Finally, Hannah felt certain they weren't just saving the diner. They were weaving together the lifeblood of Maplewood, forging bonds that would last for generations. And as the kittens purred quietly in the background, each brought warmth to their hearts. She knew their journey of transformation was only just beginning. The spirit of community was kindling, and with it, they refused to let go of hope. "Together we step forward into this new dawn," Hannah declared, flames of hope rising within everyone. As the night settled into starlight, they breathed in that sweet aroma, hearts aligned in trust, ready to embrace whatever came next. Before long, the meeting adjourned, but the road ahead shined bright, full of love and possibility, a testament to showing up and believing in one another. And as the townsfolk left, the air buzzed with the potential of change, a community born anew whenever kittens came into their lives. So whatever challenge lay ahead, they all knew one thing: together, they could face anything. Now, as we close this chapter, don't forget, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us share the beauty of transformation. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Your support means the world to us.